So I would start by offering you to write down on a piece of paper 2 words that come to your mind about inclusion and innovation when you think of leisure education. From the Splay and the Cow, we have always identified ourselves with a set of cross concepts such as co-education, interculturality, development education, diversity, Catalan culture and language, community engagement, learning by playing, coherence, leadership, respect toward the different learning, and cooperative work. Step by step, the school has integrated these goals and typical leisure ways. The summary that many communication media does is that the schools must stop being places where the child goes to get ready for exam and have to start being a place where the child gets empowered. Does it ring a bell to you? That's right. The feeling, if not the certainty. Is it an important part what defines leisure will set into schools as an innovation, as a revolution in the classes? We don't have to force children to learn because right now we are making an obligation from learning when we well know that there will only be real learning if there is an internal motivation. However, that leisure institutions are not innovative. Conversely, they in fact are innovative. They find ways to realize themselves, and they do it in a structured way, learning movements that helps and strengthen their own institution actions. In our Splay Center from Leisure Education, we work to change society, boosting a citizenship model based on values such as respect, compromise, social justice, peace, love for freedom, and therefore our entity roof is transforming education. One of the biggest challenges that the leisure institutions say that they have is inclusion. Inclusion seems to be fashion. Everybody talks about inclusion in this institution, but what do we really know about inclusion? Inclusion means that everyone can participate in any institution of leisure, avoiding that any of his characteristics, physical or mental, prevent him from developing his experience and education in his entity. So, if it's so clear, what the concept of inclusion must be introduced? Our entity has a basis, the agenda, in Catalan ideari, which its function is to establish the model of person, society and transcendent option. From sociological thinking, we will opt for a social model, and from philosophical thinking, we will opt for a transcendence model. The projecte educatiu de centre, PEC, is the specification of the ideari. It is the programmatic tool that enables us to systematize the educative intervention that we develop throughout the entity, and it will also help us to achieve our person model, the society, and the transcendence. PEC also collects what we want to achieve, how we will do it, and when and where we will make it out. One of the biggest challenges that the leisure institutions say they have is the inclusion. Inclusion seems to be fashion. Everybody talks about inclusion in these institutions, but what do we really know about inclusion? Inclusion means that everyone can participate in any institution of this leisure, avoiding that any of these characteristics, mental or physical, prevent him from developing his experience and education in his entity. So, if it is so clear, why the concept of inclusion must be introduced? When we talk about inclusion and with all this implies, I wonder why it is nowadays so important. What is the reason? Because if everybody accepts all the potential participants, we shouldn't work inclusion. Then it means the centers couldn't assume all the customer typology. Therefore, we need the ideal step. How can we assume this challenge? The complication of this topic is immense. The institution has to take change for inclusion, which means that it has to be done a substantial effort, not also in organization, but in economic and human resources, because they will need them. We talk about economic resources because we will have to invest in a school for school fees for any activity intended for a specific group. And we refer to human resources because the instructors of these inclusive centers should be able to work with these children and young people. Finally, all this could be achieved if the instructors believe in inclusion, because in this way it will be a plural leisure education in which everybody could learn from the others, that if we remember, it is the base of our education. Thank you very much.